and you guys did it for the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
You heard right. You heard what Joe Biden said, fraud. Anyway, he's correct, because you got the Hollywood industry, movies, the things they program in there just to make you feel with the feelings and not facts. But, movies now have become social justice stuff, which is just despicable now. I can't watch movies as much as I want, and that's why the industry is dying. Then you have also the TV industry. They program your little kids, and they program you with the sitcoms and all this stuff. People used to talk about how we ain't got no black shows like that. Talk to the industry about that. The music industry. I am in the music industry, TT Records. We've been doing music for a while, but to see what the celebrities have done to each other, to Ice Cube, to 50 Cent, to Lil Wayne, and many more that you cannot do. You gotta think the same way. So like black music, I don't care for it no more how it is, because you gotta think down the same path. Radio industry. I used to have Radio T3. I used to have 9.84 million concurrent listeners listen to my show, but because I wanted to talk about the certain topics in Project Over Mike, they didn't re-up me for my next contract. So it is what it is. Politicians, not only the Democrats, don't get me wrong, a lot of Republicans, but the fake pussy-ass Republicans who cannot do what they want to do. They want to get Trump out because he's cleaning the swamp, because they want to make their money. Let's not forget the academics. Oh man, they reprogram these college kids. You spend thousands of dollars in college for them to teach you to be a special snowflake and not to be an individual. And they come back and they regurgitate all this nonsense about color and stuff, the most racist and most insensitive things they say, even though they think they're a part of it. The streaming online, don't even get me started on that, because like I said, a friend of mine was at my house. We were watching Hulu, and a Joe Biden ad came on, and it repeated itself 6 times. 6 times the same ad. And I was like, he was like, really? This is crazy. And he's not a Trump supporter, so he just, for him to say that was like I was like, maybe I want to go to something else. But that's how we're going with the online streaming. Then you have the tech giants. Amazon, of course, they're banning books and stuff if you think a certain way. Apple don't want to play certain things. Google, of course, on YouTube's Googling and out catering your search so you don't search out certain things. Facebook keeps people in their bubble. That's just what it is. That's what these tech giants do. They have that much power to block you and censor you out so you don't get nothing else. And talk about social media giants, don't forget your Twitter and your Vimeo and your YouTube, which is owned by Google, and they also block and manage and shadow ban a lot of people's views. Kind of weird how that works out, but hey, that's what the game they want to play, right? The news media, don't even get me started about it. They go with Amazon. Amazon owns Washington Post. And then look what happened with New York Times. New York Times just kicked out mostly all of their centrists. All the centrists. It's so mostly just a left organization paper. Sometimes they had to bring it back like this, the 1619 Project because it was garbage. But hey, they do have a little thing. But let's not talk about the media itself. How much lies, how much time they twist the truth, how time they overdo stuff. And they soft pedal a lot of stuff for Biden, but not for the president. So it's kind of weird, as you saw in the second debate in the town hall meetings and everything. And again, remember, 94% of the people, even Fox News, 90% of people who vote from the news media vote Democrat. So it's just weird how that situation works. But again, you got all those people behind your sales. You get all those people behind him. The Oscars, the Oscars, the Emmys, all these, the Grammys. I always say I wanted a Grammy. I don't want it no more because if I got to sell my soul to get to this point, I don't care no more. And I like you. Basically, I'm going to let a person say what I want to say more better than I can say. But like I said, celebrities have fallen down in my eyes in 2020. Thank goodness. I never really idolized them, but I kind of respect them. But I got to separate the art from the artist now because a lot of these people are the most garbage people I've ever seen. And they turn each other. If you have a different opinion that's not your test, they turn on you like crazy. So I don't like that in that regard. But you know what? We'll see how it works out. November 3rd, we'll see what happens. But you know what? Like I said, I won't be surprised Joe Biden wins because he has so much this stuff behind him to win. Not surprising. And to me, I'm going to let Ricky Gervais say exactly what I said to these celebrities because you guys have become basically a piece of garbage to me. So Ricky, take it away.
poured into the TV game with a morning show, a superb drama, yeah. A superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay?
Alright, I want to do a little thing called for Straight No Chasers, because I saw something that kind of makes me want to talk about. Look like I have to like edit some of this video a little bit. I apologize for that. I didn't know that I had mic issues. And thank you there for tempo. All right. So I'll have to cut this part out a little bit on the YouTube video, or delete this and reset it back up. But right now, you see on your page, right on your screen right now, the article is linked in the description of all three places where I broadcast this for right now. I was correct that I know how the election was going to turn out. I'm not surprised, and that's why I played a little video clip earlier on, because with all those industries trying to stop this one man, that's everybody's going crazy with this. But am I surprised that these guys have the balls to say this in front of everybody? Like I said, a lot of politicians lie straight to your faces, and people still take them at their word for some reason. I don't know why they do that, but hey, that's what we got. So like I said, most people are not giving this a little thrift. I'm going to give the full shrift of this, because it needs to be happening for record purposes. Like I said, I'm recording on my end. I might cut it and record it a different way again. Because I made a mistake. Didn't know that the mic was had a difficulty on the mic. So I hope you guys can hear me now. Looks like you can. Thank you. So let's dive into this. 2020 politics election. Time magazine. The secret history of course, of the shadow campaign that saved the election of 2020. Please. Well, 2020 election, please. Let's just get through this nonsense. A weird thing happened after November 3rd election. Nothing. The nation was braced for chaos. Liberal group had vowed to take to the streets, planning hundreds of protests across the country. Right-wing militias were gathering for a battle. In the polls before election day, 75% of Americans voiced their concern about the violence. Instead, an eerie quiet descended as President Trump refused to concede, and the response was not mass action but crickets. When media organizations called the race for Joe Biden on November 7, jubilation broke out instead, as people throughout cities across the United States celebrated the democratic process that resulted in Trump's ouster. You're right about the cities part. I'll give you that. Second, odd thing happened amid Trump's attempt to reverse the result. Corporate America turned on him. Hundreds of major business leaders, many of whom had backed Trump's candidacy and supported his policies, called on him to concede. To the president, something felt amiss. It was all very, very strange, Trump said on December 2nd. Within days after the election, he witnessed an orchestrated effort to atone the winner, even while many key states were still being counted. Of course, because that's not how it's supposed to do. But again, they'll explain everything in here, because again, we know that they changed the rules. They did a lot of illegal stuff, which is messed up. Time could say, "Oh, this is just whatever," but it was messed up. There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtail and the protests and coordinate the resistance from CEOs, which I find disgusting, but both surprised were the result of the informal alliance between the left-wing activists and the business titans. Yeah, there you go, lefties. Y'all think about the businesses, but you could see they could come together. The pact was formed in a terse little notice joint statement of the U.S. Chambers of Commerce and the AFL-CIO published on election day. Both sides would come to see it as a sort of inflicting bargain. inspired by the summer, massive, sometimes destructive racial justice protests in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace and oppose Trump's assault on democracy. Democracy. A joke. That's a joke. The handshake between business and labor was just one component of a vast cross-partisan campaign to protect the election. Okay, wow. See how they phrase the word protect the election, right? An extraordinary shadow effort dedicated not to winning a vote, but to ensure it would be free and fair, credible and uncorrupt. For more than a year, a loosely organized coalition of operatives scrambled to shore up the American institution as they came under simultaneous attack from the, like I said, the remorseless pandemic and the autocrat incline of President. Though much of the activities took place on the left, it was separated from the Biden campaign, my ass, and crossed ideological lines, with crucial contribution by nonpartisan and conservative actors, which is why, as I said, the Republicans are basically cowards. They ain't got no spine, they're punks. The scenario the shadow campaigners were desperate to stop was not a Trump victory. Who are we, stupid or what? If you did this, then you would have never. If you did this, then you wouldn't. You will stop a Trump victory. It was an election so calamitous that no result could be discerned at all. A failure of the central act of democracy, self-governance, that has been a hallmark of America since the foundation. Okay, yes. We're a republic, not democracy. We're the republic. And I like how they love to remember, a lot of these politicians and the elites pull these strings to make you think, oh, you dance, clown, dance, because you ain't getting up here. Look what happened with the GameStop stuff. When the GameStop thing would happen and they would lose, and the elites was losing billions of dollars. Look how the news media, the government all came together and tried to shut that down when regular people was getting billions of dollars. And had to mess up their funds, which is messed up. That they could come together and stop the little man from making money, even though these are the same people, the same hedge funds that did this thing. Basically, was the same thing that caused the 2008 market crash. Again, Clinton started it, Bush continued it, and Obama bailed them out. So nobody went to jail. They felt good. They're like, I got these people in my pocket. I ain't got to worry about nothing. That's what it was. Despicable. Their work touched every aspect of the election. For somebody who just didn't want to, they just said up here, so not assure to stop, desperate to stop was not a Trump victory, but they touched every aspect of the election. And again, I've done many videos of election, how the fraud has happened. Not the one with this, but even before that, I did videos about this. So miss me with the nonsense about no. And again, it's always funny when 2016 when it was Russia. So I don't. That's how I don't understand how people, like I said, a lot of people are just mindless sheeps. And when I'm talking about Democrats, I'm talking about politician itself. Okay, the politician, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, your Nadler, those evil sons of bitches. When, like I said, when Trump won, it was basically Russia, and they were saying, "Oh, it was not a good election. It was stolen." For 4 years, we heard that. So this one now, they're like, "Oh, now it's fair." Wait, hold up. You can't say it was stolen. It was bad then, and then it's good now. But that's what they do. So their work touched every aspect of the election. They got states to change voting systems. But they said the former president was crazy for saying that. They got states to change voting systems and laws and held secure hundreds of millions in public and private funding. They fended off voter suppression lawsuits, recruited armies of poll workers, and got millions of people to vote by mail for the first time, which is not how it's supposed to be. But I know that that was one of my first indications when I saw, like in my state, that they kicked it up to 2 months. I'm like, wait, 2 months to vote. Excuse me. And then we found out a lot of people, like I said, all they did was vote for the president. They didn't even vote for the regular people. They didn't even know what they were doing. They just got low information voters and useful idiots to do that. Despicable. They successfully pressured social media companies, am I surprised? Not. To take a hard line against disinformation, or you mean real information. Let's take the dis out, because with some information in there, you guys didn't want that. Use data-driven strategies to fight viral smears. Okay. They executed national public awareness campaigns and help Americans understand how their vote count would be unfold over the days and weeks, preventing Trump conspiracy theories and false claim of victory from getting more traction. After election day, they mentioned the pressure point to after election day, they monitor every pressure point to ensure that Trump could not overturn the results. The untold story of the election is that thousands of people on both parties who accomplished a triumph of American democracy at its very foundation, says Norm. How is that? So, whoa. See that crap right there? This is what I'm talking about. This nonsense. Let me get this straight. Let's go back up here. This is democracy, they're saying, which is BS. But they got states to change their voting systems. Okay. Laws, and help secure hundreds of millions of public funding, public and private funding to change. Wow. That's how you do it? That's what you call? Are you out your mind to accomplish the triumph of democracy? Oh my goodness. Noam Epstein, a prominent lawyer and former Obama administration official who recruited Republicans and Democrats to the board of voter protection program. You did a horrible job, sir. You suck. For Trump and his allies were running their campaign to spoil the election. Oh wow! So to spoil, wow, these people have the balls, boy. The president spent months insisting that mail-in ballots were a Democrat plot and the election would be rigged. He was right. His henchmen at the state level sought to block their use, while his lawyers brought dozens of spurious suits to make it more difficult to vote, and intensification of the GOP legacy of basically. Just reading this is crazy to me. Suppressive tactics. Before the election, Trump plotted to block a legitimate vote count. Yeah, because the votes was not finished counting on November 3rd, as you stated back at the beginning of the whole thing. Back up here. You said that. Trump lied to for the state election. Okay, let's see, where was I? Trump lied to block a legitimate vote count. Okay, and he spent the months following November 3rd trying to steal the election. He lost with lawsuits and conspiracy theories pressure on states and local officials, and finally summoning his army of supporters on January 6th to rally in the Delhi via Cap. No, he didn't did that. That's a lie. Not how you say it, but that's a lie. Because again, the attack happened. The thing that happened on January 6th. He did not go through the whole speech, and I did it, and I showed it on my show. He didn't say nothing to incite any violence, compared to a lot of Democrats that was doing that, but I digress, and I show that as well too. And also, the attack happened before his speech was done. His speech was 1.8 miles away where his rally was. He said peacefully. This was set up. And as you see how this was, yeah. The democracy campaigners watch with alarm every week. We felt like we were in a struggle to try to pull off this election without the country going through a real dangerous moment of unraveling, says former GPO Representative Zach Wamp. Oh, really? Again, why am I surprised? A Republican would be that sleazy. A Trump supporter who helped coordinate a bipartisan election protection council. We can look back and say that this thing went pretty well. Wow. But it was not at all clear in September, October that it was going to be the case. Jeez, these people got the balls. Wow. This is the inside story of the conspiracy to save the 2020 election, based on the access of the group inner workings. Never before seen documents and interviews with dozens of those who involved across the political spectrum. It is the story of an unprecedented, creative, and determined campaign whose success also revealed how close the nation came to disaster. We are in a disaster in most cases now. For the people the 74 million people who voted, they look at this like, yeah, it is a disaster for them because they lose. Well, can't say it as well too, because people on Joe Biden's side, what was 11,000 people lost their jobs instantly on day one when Joe Biden did his executive order. I'm not laughing because I remember this black guy. I saw him in his car. He's like, I just got a house, I just got a car, and I got me a good job working this much figures, and my boss just tell me we ain't got a job. Hey Joe Biden, you were helping black people, right? Oh yeah, I forgot. I didn't vote for you because I'm a white man in a black face, because I ain't black. If I ain't vote for you, I ain't black. So that's what you say. Despicable. Just despicable. Where were we? Compost says every attempt to interfere with the proper outcome of the elected was wow. These people. So that was a proper outcome that you wanted. So you fixed it so you get the proper outcome. That's messed up. Says I, Basson, co-founder of Protect Democracy. We're not we are not we are a republic. Different thing. Jeez. A non-partisan but rule of law advocacy group. You ain't non-partisan. But it's massively important for the country to understand that it didn't happen accidentally. Oh, I figure that. No, duh. The system didn't work magically. Democracy is not self-executing. No, and democracy is messy. 100% democracy is horrible. The masses do not know what they talk about. Human nature. We will have problems. We'll kind of have the same problems now anyway too. Why that part, participant 1 to the secret history of the 20,000 election told even though it sounds like a paranoid fever dream or nightmare, that people came together to mess with how people vote. A well-funded cabal of powerful people ranging across industries and ideologies, working together behind the scenes to influence the perceptions, change rules, laws, steer media coverage, control the flow of information. Wow, that's democracy, all right. That's democracy. A group of people, a group of elites came to do this, to control the flow of information. They were not rigging the election, they were fortifying it. What the kind of John Orwell word is that? We were not rigging it, we was fortifying it. My ass. And they believed the public need to understand the system fragility in order to ensure democracy in America endures. Again, whatever. Okay. Sometime in the fall of 2019, Mike Pauzora became convinced that the election was heading for disaster and determined to protect it. This was not his usual purview. For nearly a quarter of a century, Putthauser, I'm just going to call you that because you're Putz, senior advisor to the president of the and if people don't know who this is, most of the people, this is the biggest union in America, 1. 2, most of those people who are head of this thing are they vote Democrat. They don't vote Republican, they vote Democrat. So I'm not surprised by this nonsense. The nation's largest, federation has marshaled the latest tactics and data to help it favor the candidates in winning an election. Unassuming and professional, it isn't the sort of hair gel, no it ain't, political strategists who show up to the cable news. Among the Democrat insiders, he knows as the wizard behind the scene of the biggest advances in political technology in recent decades. Oh boy, well, there you go. A group of liberal strategists he brought together in the early 2000s led to the creation of the Analyst Institute, a secretive firm. Well, you ain't secretive no more, but people ain't gonna follow enough to know this, that applies scientific methods to political campaigns. He was also involved in the funding of the Catalyst, the flagship progressive data company. Again, progressive. I'm not surprised by that. Endless chat in Washington about the political strategy. Pods, I'm not gonna call his full name because he's despicable. He believes he has little to do with how a change really gets made. My basic take on politics is that it's all pretty obvious if you don't overthink it or shallow the prevailing framework a whole. Of course. He once wrote, after that, just relentlessly identifying your assumptions and challenging them. Plus applies the approach to everything. When he coached his now adult son, Little League team in the DC suburbs, he trained the boys not to swing at most pitches, a tactic that infuriated both their and their opponent's parents, but won the team series champ. Well, that's just that is basic baseball. And if I did the same thing when I was playing baseball. You don't swing at everything. You take some hits. Mostly I don't swing until I get. I remember my coach telling me, wait until you get your first strike, then start swinging. That's what it is. Man. Trump election in 2016 credited in part to his unusual strength among the sort of blue-collar white voters who once dominated the AFL-CIO prompt pods to to question his assumption over the voters' behavior. Oh, because it didn't go what you wanted, now you're like, yeah, wow, we gotta watch out for this guy. See how this is wow, it's back that far. This is how they were setting this thing up. He began circulating weekly number crunching memos to all smart articles, circle allies, and hosting strategy sessions in DC. But when he began to worry about the election itself, he didn't want to seem paranoid. It was only after months of research that he introduced his concerns in a newsletter in October 2019. The usual tool of data analytics and polling would not be sufficient in the situation where the president himself was trying to dispute the election, he wrote. Most of our planning takes us through election day, he noted, but we were not prepared for the 2 months most likely outcomes. Trump losing and refusing to concede, and Trump winning an electoral college despite losing the popular vote by corrupting the voting process in key states. Whoa. See what I'm saying? By corrupting the process in key states, we desperately needed to systematically red team this election so that we can anticipate and plan for the worst. We know willingly will come our way. Wow. Jeez. It turned out that Potts wasn't the only one thinking in these terms. He began to hear from others eager to join his forces to fight back the Fight Back table. A coalition of resistant organizations had begun scenario planning around the potential of a contested election, gathering liberal activists at the local and national level into what they call how much different democracies. If this is democracy, that is not democracy. All these cabals of people coming just to stop one man. Like I said, that's why I played a clip up at the beginning when I said that. One person, all these people come to stop this one man, because he was uncovering all the secrets of the liberal of the elites, because they just didn't like that he was showing all their secrets. He pulled back the curtain and showed that their pants was down and they're embarrassed. So they went after, all these people went after one man. Look at all the coalitions and groups come together. Jeez. Voting rights and civil rights organizations were raising alarm. A group of former elected officials was researching emergency powers they feared Trump might exploit. Protect Democracy Protect Democracy Defense Coalition, Protect Democracy all these groups was assembled a bipartisan election crisis task force. It turned out that once you said it out loud, people agreed. Potts said, and it started building momentum. All these groups against one man. Damn. And now they're trying to do an impeachment just to make sure this never ever happens again. He was the first person to become president that was not a career politician and also not a military person. And other people like, oh, we need a career. No, we do not. We've seen what a career politician has gotten us. Again, go to Nancy Pelosi's district, go to Maxine Waters' district, go to AOC's district, go to a lot of these districts. Go to Adam Schiff's district. It's crappy. It's a rundown cities. They got little cities that may be good, but everything around the little cities is disgusting. Like again, San Francisco, they're literally pooping in the streets. He spent months pondering the scenario and talking to experts. It was hard to find liberals who saw Trump as a dangerous dictator. Yeah, says the one who's in office right now, who's been giving out executive orders left and right, the most executive orders of any presidency. But Potts was careful to stay clear of the hysteria. What he wanted to know was not how American democracy was dying, which it is right now, but how it might keep alive. The chief difference between the U.S. and countries that lost their grip on democracy, he concluded, was that America's initialization election system couldn't be rigged in one fell swoop. Well, that's what y'all was saying back when what happened in 2016. That presented an opportunity to shore it up. My ass. This is just the alliance. On March 3rd, wow, all the way back there, Potts drafted a 3-page confidential memo titled "Threats to the Election." Trump has made clear that this will not be a fair election and that he will reject anything but his own re-election as fake and rigged, he wrote. Okay, he said that out multiple times. I give him that. Trump did say that many times, so I'm not gonna say that. Not like I said, I don't have to lie to somebody to prove that they're wrong. And I'm not like what he said right there is, yeah, Trump did say that. He wrote on November 3rd, should the media report otherwise, he will use the right-wing information system, which was what? Don't even say Fox News, because they ain't. Fox News might go towards the right, but in Fox News itself, like I've said multiple times, Fox News also vote Democrat. So what? It's not that. And they're in the most 3 Democratic cities in the country: New York, Washington D.C., and L.A. Information system to establish his narrative and incite his supporters to protest. Protest. Nothing wrong with protest. We have a right to protest. And now when they were telling us all last year with the Black Lives Matter, we got to protest. But then when they turned a riot, oh no, that was a protest. No, that was a riot. People got killed in that, dude. The memo laid out 4 categories of challenges: attack on voters, attack on election administration, attack on Trump's political opponents, and efforts to reverse the results of the election. Then COVID-19 erupted at the height of the primary election season. Normal methods of voting were no longer safe for voters, or the mostly ineligible voters who normally staff polling places. But political disagreement, intensified by Trump's crusade against the mail-in voting, which I agree with him on that, prevented some states from making it easier to vote absentee and or jurisdiction to the count those voters in the timely manner. Justification of these accounts, sorry, my mistake. Justification of these votes counts in a timely manner. Chaos ensued. Ohio shut down in-person voting for its primary. Yeah, and that was not for the president. And that's messed up that they did that. Leading to a minuscule turnout. A poll worker shortage in Milwaukee, where Wisconsin's heavily Democratic black population is concentrated, left just 5 open polling places and down from 182. Yeah, and it's run by the Democrat. That's not the guy. That got to do nothing with the damn Republicans in that regard. I still don't trust the Republicans again when I say that. Just know that. That's run by them. In New York, the vote count took more than a month. Yeah, because what they did was stupid. Why can't we call out what they did was stupid? Suddenly, the potential for a November meltdown was obvious. And trust me, and all this crap they talk about, this stuff happened in the 2018 elections too. So this ain't nothing new, except for the COVID part. 2018 election, they had problems as well. Because hell, look at not Ohio. Where is it? I forgot where they have the first voting for the nominees and stuff like that. Look at that one. That had problems as well too, and that had to do nothing with COVID. Suddenly, blah 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 blah. Meltdown in his apartment in the DC suburb. Potts began working from his laptop at his kitchen table, holding back-and-back Zoom meetings for hours a day with his network of contacts across the progressive universe. Oh, dude. The evil duos coming together. The labor movement, the institutional. See all these organizations that come together. Freaking the Legion of Doom right here. That's what it is. The Legion of Doom gain assemble. The progressive universe. The labor movement. The institutional left, which is mostly all institutional in most cases. Planned Parenthood, which was founded by a white supremacist who wanted to kill black people. Margaret Sanger said black people were weeds, but for some reason, too many. For every year we kill our babies because I don't know, close your legs and use protection, but that's nothing to be used for. Greenpeace. There's a reason why the guy who founded Greenpeace left Greenpeace, because he knew his organization got crappy. And the resistant groups like Indivisible and Move On, which of course Move On was always progressive. Progressive data geeks and strategists, representatives of donors, foundations, state-level, grassroots organization, racial justice advocates, and others. Wow, the Legion of Doom. That's what it is right there. The Legion of Doom. Jeez. In April, Paz began hosting a weekly 2.5-hour Zoom. It was structured around the series of rapid-fire 5-minute presentation on everything from which ads were working to messaging the legal strategy. The invitation-only gatherings soon attract hundreds, creating a rare shared base of knowledge for the factitious progressive movement. Really? At the risk of talking trash about the left, there's not a lot of good information sharing. Yeah, which is the truth. Says Ansika Asio, a close Potts friend. Again, the reason I'm not calling his Pottheiser is because he's a Potts. And I would like to use stronger language, but I'm gonna keep it to a degree so I could have it there. Okay, just want to make sure. I just want to make sure. See how the Autobots do their thing. All right. Number 4. Okay. Friend whose poll tested message got and shared the group's approach. There's a lot of non-invented here syndrome. Not invented here syndrome, where people won't consider a good idea if they didn't come up with it. That is true. That's human nature. That is true. The meeting became more the galactic center for a constellation of operatives across the left who shared overlapping goals but did not usually work in concert. The group had no name, no leaders, and no hierarchy. But it kept despite actors in sync. Pod played a crucial behind the scenes role in keeping different pieces of the movement and infrastructure in communication aligned, says Maurice Mitchell, National Director of the Work Families Party, of course, another leftist. You have the legit space, the organized space, the political people just focus on the W, and their strategies aren't always aligned. They allow the ecosystem to work together. Protect the election would require effort and an unprecedented scale. As 2020 progress is stretched across Congress, Silicon Valley, again, why not surprised, and the nation's state shores, that drew energy for the summer from the racial justice protests. Useful idiots make of those leaders to, they really want to keep, okay, sorry, because I enjoyed the word. Many of those leaders were a key part of the Liberal Alliance. Liberal Alliance. Made me feel bad because my group name is Shuffle Alliance, but yeah. And eventually it reached across the aisle into the world of Trump-seeking Republicans applied by his attack on democracy. Which they can't prove that. The first task was overhauling America's blanket election infrastructure. If you like them, if you were saying all this stuff about democracy, why did you have to overhaul it? In case the middle of the pandemic, for the thousands of local, mostly nonpartisan officials who administer elections, the most urgently need was money. They needed protective equipment like masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer, which is cheap. They needed to pay for postcards to let people know they could vote absentee. Yeah, and I got about 50 of those freaking things. How big again? And nope. In some states, to mail ballots to every voter. That's where most of that fraud comes up as well, too, because that's not how you're supposed to do that. You ain't supposed to do that. They needed additional staff and scanners to process ballots. And also, like they did in Georgia, you saw they pull out the empty ballots underneath the tables and feed them to machines. Lying bastards. In March, activists appealed to Congress to steer COVID relief money to election administration. We got this deadly disease. You're supposed to help get the vaccines, do other stuff. And these bastards told Congress, which is run by the Democrats, to put money towards the election. Because they wanted their power back. Wow. Led by the leadership, again, look at all these different organizations. Led by the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, which is, I guarantee you, we go through that, there's a bunch of nonsense. More than 150 organizations signed a letter to every member of Congress seeking $2 billion in election fund. It was somewhat successful. The CARES Act passed. That's why I remember that. That was inside the stupid bill, which we had it as a simple help the airline industry, help the people. And the Democrats came and shoved in all that nonsense in there, and that sneaked in. Am I surprised? Freaking no. Hell, the last one I passed earlier this year, they did horrible thing. That 3.2 trillion. A lot of people always saying that. That's what the 900 billion was a part of $3.2 trillion stimulus. The government spending, the omnibus bill. And then, of course, the media would never explain that out to you because they want to make sure you stay stupid. And now they want to pass $1.9 trillion. We're already $27 trillion of debt. We are not even spent all the money from that bill in early this year, from the omnibus bill, and we're gonna go spend $1.9 trillion or more for crap. Crazy. passed later that month, containing $400 million in grants to state election administrators. But the next tranche of relief funding did not add to that number. It wasn't going to be big enough. Private philanthropy stepped in the breach. Of course, again, the elite didn't want. Trump was taking money from the elite, so they didn't want their money to go that way. An assortment of foundations again contributed tens of millions in election admission funding. The Chan Zuckerberg Institute chipped in 300 million. Sorry, I gotta check this out. Of course. Why would I not be surprised? Is his wife? Huh? Wow. You guys, corruption. Chipped in $300 million. Congress, you remember you had Mark Zuckerberg out there talking about how Facebook did stuff inside of the hearings into the to Russia and all that stuff. Well, you missed the point. It was a failure at the federal level that 2,500 local elected officials were forced to apply for philanthropic grants to fill their needs. Says that should not be your job. You should just. Former Denver elected official who heads of the nonpartisan National Vote Home Institute. All these institutes, all these people who could control anything. And all because of all these institutes controlled by architect by this one man. You know what? Let's see let me see what look at them. Of course, you look like a freaking evil doer. I know you look like an evil doer. Evil person. His son. Dude, they just look the part. The both of them just look like the evil parts. Mark Reynolds' 2-year-old organization became the clearinghouse for the nation struggling apart. The institution gives secretaries of state from both parties technical advice on everything from which vendors to use, how to locate drop boxes. Local officials are the most trusted. What? Yeah, okay, sure. Local officials are the most trusted sources of election information. Yeah, they screw you over with. Few can afford a press secretary, so the Institute distributed communication toolkits. In the presentation to Potts Group, Mark Reynolds detailed the importance of absentee ballots for shortening lines at polling places and preventing election crisis. No. The Institute worked to help 37 states and DC bolster their mail-in voting. Of course it did. But it wouldn't be worth much if people didn't take advantage. Part of the challenge was logistical. Each state has different rules for when and how the ballot should be requested and returned, which Yes, because you're supposed to. If you're basically absentee ballot is you said, hey, I want absentee ballot. They said so. You said in your request, they give it to you. You have it signed, witnessed, and you have a signature, and they have to match up your signatures before your vote to be counted. Now, in most of the states, the signatures didn't match up, but they still passed it. They passed the law. Some states passed the law, Ohio and Georgia. They changed the law for that stuff. Also, they were sending the ballots to other people, so anybody could have took it and written anything they want. The Voter Protection Center, which is in a normal year would have supported local groups deploying canvassing door to door to get the vote out. Instead, conducted focus group in April and May to find out what would get people to vote by mail. In August and September, which is that's why they plastered your screen with a bunch of nonsense. In August and September, it is a set ballot. It sent ballot application to 50 million people in key states and 4.6 million to whom return them. In mail-in and digital ads, the group urged people not to wait for election day. All the work we have done for 17 years was built for this moment to bring democracy to the people's doorstep. That is not democracy, says Tom Lopinch, the Senate CEO. And yeah, another piece of crap. Excuse me. I can guarantee most of these people look like evildoers. Well, again, they look like slimy evildoers. How am I not surprised that they just have that S-eaten grin? The efforts had to overcome the heightened skepticism, which is growing now in some communities. Many black voters prefer to exercise their franchise in person. God bless those black people, or did not trust the mail. And I showed a video about that. National Civil Rights Group worked with the local organization to get the word out that this was the best way to ensure one's vote would be counted. Well, that was a lie. In Philadelphia, for example, advocacy distributed voters' safe kits containing masks, hand sanitizer, and information brochures. We had to get the message out that it is safe and reliable. Sorry. And you can trust it. Says how to feel voting is local. Again, all these coming things. At the same time, Democratic lawyer battle a historic tide of pre-election litigation. The pandemic intensified the parties' usual tangling in the courts. But the lawyer noticed something else as well. The litigation brought by the Trump campaign of a piece of the border campaign to sow doubt about the mail voting, was making novel claims and was using theories no court has ever accepted, said Wendy Weiser, a voter rights expert at the at NCE, of course. Never trust these sons of bitches. You just don't. Justice at NYU. They read more like a lawsuit designed to send a message rather than achieving a legal outcome. In the end, nearly half of the electorate cast ballots by mail. I didn't, because I know what it is. But again, I predicted it would look like Trump would win on election day. Then they will come up with all the stuff and say, oh, well, here's all the stuff that be blah, blah, blah. That's what came out to be. Yeah, look how long this thing is, how despicable this is. Information defense. Jeez. Revolution on how people vote. About a quarter voted person early, only a quarter. Let's see. About a quarter voted early in person, only a quarter voted cast their ballots on the traditional way. Jeez, ain't that messed up? The disinformation defense. Bad actors spread false information is nothing new. For decades, campaigns have grappled with everything from anonymous calls claim an election has been rescheduled to flyers spreading nasty smears about candidates. That always happened. That's nothing new. But Trump lies and conspiracy theories, which were proven correct, because you guys are writing about it. His conspiracy theory is correct by you doing this. By y'all saying this. The viral force of social media, which also did some lying as hell, and the involuntary foreign meddling made disinformation a broader, deep threat to the 2020 vote. And now when we wanted to, when we're looking to say, hey, let's make sure everything is counted up right, y'all did that. I swear. Laura Quinn, a veteran progressive operative who is a co-founder of Catalyst, began studying the problem 4 years ago. She plotted a nameless secret project which she has never before publicly discussed it, that tracked the disinformation online and tried to figure out how to combat it. With your own disinformation, that's what you did. Including one's component was tracking dangerous lies that might otherwise spread unnoticed. Researchers that provided information to campaigners or media to track down the source and expose them by lying. The most important takeaway from Quinn's research, however, was that engaging in toxic content only made it worse. When you get attacked, the instinct is to push back, call it out, and say, this ain't true, Quinn says. But more engagement sometimes get more the platform it boosts. The more it gets, the more the platform gets boosted. The algorithm reads it as, oh, this is popular. People want to hear more of it. Yeah, like you didn't know that. You know that. You know that. The solution, she concluded, was to pressure the platform to ensure their rules, both by removing content and accounts, from spreading disinformation and by more aggressively politicking in the first place. The platform have policies against certain types of malign behavior, but they haven't been enforcing them, she says. Quinn research gave ammunition to advocates to push social media platforms to take a harder line. In November 20, Mark Zuckerberg invited 9 civil rights leaders to dinner at his home, where they warned about the dangers of the election relating to falsehoods that were already spreading unchecked. It's time to push back, urging conversation, brainstorming, and all to get to the place where we end up with more rigorous rules and enforcement, says Vinita Gupta, president and CEO of the Leadership Council. All these things they don't even believe in what they're doing. They're just horrible people. Who attended the dinner also met with Twitter Jack Dorsey, who is also an evil person too. Gupta has been nominated for the Associate Attorney General by President Biden. Oh, shocker. Freaking shocker. It was a struggle, but we got to the point where they understood the problem. Was it enough? Probably not. Was it later than we wanted? Yes. But it was really important given the level of the official disinformation, and they had rules. They have the rules in place, and they were tagged. I try to read faster than I need to read. Sorry, that they had the rules in place and were tagging things and taking them down. Oh goodness! Again, over 150 groups. I'm looking at the time and I can't give this full brief. Spreading the world will be the next one. I'll have to do it in 2 parts because I gotta get some sleep. But this is just so. Let's leave it at that. As you can see, how, oh, man. I'll combine this into one thing, but I gotta do it in half because I gotta get some sleep. But you can see how many people come together again just against one man. Wow. Just one person could bring all these people together. Despicable. Well, I'm gonna just call it this is gonna be basically part 2. That's what I gotta do because I can't do this all in one shot. I thought I could have put it off, but man, it's longer than I thought. It's all across longer than I thought. But remember, please get in the description. There's a link. Read it yourself. Even through my bad reading and me cutting and jumping in because I know some of the stuff they're saying is contradiction, is hypocrisy, and lies as well too. So go again in the description box wherever you're watching this. There's a link. If read it before time changes their mind or change something or whatever. But check it out. I will do a part 2 on this over the weekend because again I got the show to do. Remember, check me out on Thursday, Project Open Mic. I might hint at this so you can know about this. But check it out, 9 o'clock, Project Open Mic. We'll go through some stuff as well. And of course, the side chat at 9 o'clock on Friday. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a good night. Oh boy. Ooh. This is just messed up. But we'll catch you next time. I hope you have a good night. Peace out. This is your boy, Take for watching. And remember, evil comes in all shapes, sizes, political, making a difference, Democrat or Republican, all size, shapes, political, height, sex, making it evil's evil. Okay? And as you can see right there, the rich will keep on getting rich because they got the power to do all this nonsense. The poor will always fight for their crumb because that's all they want. They want crumbs. They don't want to get out of it. Majority of them. And the poor and the middle class like me and you guys, we're gonna get bent over. That's what we do. So, man, this sucks. But like I said, I gotta do a second part of this. So hope you guys check it out when I put it up. And I will edit this one later on after the fact because yeah, I messed up having the first part of that gap between the show and the thing, having my mic issues. But other than that, peace out. Remember, people are stupid, individuals smart. Be that smart individual. Have a good night.